Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Bold Lawyer Show. This is the show for you, the attorney, maybe the law student, or someone who's looking to change careers. You want to know what it's like founding and starting a law firm, running a law firm, the business of law. I'm here with my, as always, pointed the wrong way, Matt Colseth. There you are.
Great afternoon, buddy. How's it going?
Really good to see you, man. Going good.
Oh,
Having a nice day. Pretty relaxing.
Always good to see you. You're looking great.
Yeah, and this is with zero appearance adjustment. I was really admiring kind of that glow right here, the cheekbone. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I was gonna say like maybe started wearing makeup. Male makeup's a thing now.
My wife has mentioned Botox. She's like, "Oh, the wrinkles are coming in." I'm approaching 40. I don't think you're there yet, are you?
I'm 30. How old am I? I'm 38. No, am I 37?
You're 38.
I'm 37, I think.
You born in 86 or 85?
85.
You're 38, dude.
Am I 38?
Well, when's your birthday?
June 1st.
No, you're 37.
I'm 37. Yeah, so you're getting old when you actually legitimately do not know how old you are.
No. You're born in 85. You are 38. You will turn 39 in 2024. This year you'll turn 39.
Is that true? Okay, you keep going. I'm gonna do some research on my end here.
I did some math in college. Okay, hey, so let's get to our show. We have a really exciting guest. Well, I'm excited to bring him on. He's excited to be here. His name is Patrick Boyd with the Boyd Law Group. We'll bring him in just a minute. I want to just do a quick disclaimer intro for anyone that is hopping on and wants to join us live. We're on LinkedIn, YouTube, and X today. So if you have any live questions, you want to jump in, you're an attorney, or even if you're not an attorney, ask questions. We'll be happy to entertain those. No quality assurance, guaranteed. We're going to do our best to answer your question, but bring it on. I'm happy to have it.
Yep. You get what you pay for.
Yeah, for sure. And
I am 38, by the way. Important disclaimer. I'm 38. It's true.
Yeah.
Your math,
I know. Right? I carried the one. So welcome to the club. And but back to previously rolling back. So makeup, we even covered one of those inventors with the Strix. Remember Strix?
Yes.
We did a couple episodes ago. I'll let you know if I get there. For now, I'll just use the appearance adjustments that Zoom offers.
Yeah, it's great. It's the best.
Okay, let's get serious though, Matt. Let's bring our guest on, Mr. Patrick Boyd. Welcome to our show.
Hey, Patrick.
Gentlemen, how are you?
Doing well.
Better than I deserve.
Thank you very much for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. Before I had to talk about this, before the show, Patrick and I were talking about the artwork behind him, and I was just like, "Yeah, this is so cool." So I want to get the name of the artist correct.
It's Kandinsky, and he's very famous for very, very abstract work. But this particular piece is one of the impressionist pieces that sort of was the jumping or a springboard, it seems, into really becoming abstract later. So it's sort of like the crazy, the prelude to the craziness that he became famous for, which I sort of like the idea of madness in the development being behind me.
I wanted to mention that.
JD, you're an abstract painter, aren't you?
Yes, I am. I happen to have one of my pieces.
Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah.
This is for sale. No, I was kidding. I mean, I love abstract. I like bright colors. And I am not yet officially crazy, so this would be one of those times. I love it. But I wanted to get to the transition because I think that's so cool. It's such a concept. I think you and your firm help a lot of entrepreneurs in transition. You help a lot of businesses transition.
As do you, of course, right? So.
As do we. So we have that in common. Now we're pretty focused on what we do and just doing the federal patent and trademark work. You do the everything else of helping basically run and grow and even sell their businesses. I'd love to get an introduction, kind of what your firm hear about what the Boyd Law Group does, and then we'll go way back and talk about your founder story. So
sure.
I'll put you up here, give you the limelight.
Sure. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. What is Boyd Law Group?
So we're a labor and employment law firm, mostly dealing with Well, anything from sort of executives in transition from one job to the next in sort of a Wall Street capacity. So stock vesting issues and severance issues. And we probably have about 50 or so CEOs as clients right now, moving from public and non-public companies, going from place to place. And frankly, also some of those that are founders, right? They work at a big company and then they go into a small firm and a small company, start to run it. We work with them on their products and their employment contracts for the most part, and how they build a team out, if you will.
Got it.
And then some of the other work, of course, deals with things like employment discrimination, those kind of civil rights issues that are a big part of our community and the public discussion these days.
Are you mostly on the employer side or employee side?
So it's one of the things that I think make us kind of unique. I practiced at a huge firm only doing employer side. But with our own firm, we do both sides of the V, if you will. So we'll represent individuals as against the company, and we'll also try cases and represent the smaller businesses, right? The bigger businesses we don't have the footprint for. But companies up to 50 in number might retain us for purposes of doing handbooks or policies. Remote work policies have become a big issue that we've been working on with some of those companies. And I think, and of course, you always tend to think of yourself as having unique insights, but I do think that maybe by virtue of working on both sides of the aisle, we have a little bit to offer that's a little bit unique to our counseling. That is, we can tell the companies what the plaintiff side attorney might be thinking, and we can tell the plaintiff side attorney what the companies might be thinking a little bit more. So yeah, that's a sort of our practice in a nutshell, if you will, in terms of what we do.
Very
Got
cool.
it. Thank you. That's cool.
You know, my one of my best friends is an attorney. He calls himself a social justice attorney, but in reality, he's a federal prosecutor.
Oh.
So I guess he's doing, God's work, social justice, but on the other side, probably.
Yeah, I think social justice has a variety of definitions these days in the community and in the practice of law. Just like when the CEO of Goldman Sachs said he was doing God's work, I think people have an interesting understanding of what that might mean.
God must be an acronym for something.
That's right. But yeah, it certainly is. To your point, particularly when you get to the civil rights issues, it is a hot button issue. It is something that we do a fair amount of press work for in talking with reporters about cases. And it's a hot button issue for adjudication, including places like the Supreme Court, which makes it, at least for some ways, I tend to have an opportunity to be a little bit popular at the cocktail parties because I have some interesting stories to tell everybody about what's happened and what they perceive to be the case and maybe the way cases are playing out and what the most recent reporter had to say about a particular case or something.
That's lucky for you. I don't tell anyone that I'm a trademark attorney. When people ask, what kind of law that I practice, I mean, I just tell them I'm a dog bite attorney.
Yeah. Well,
I feel dog bites. You got a dog bite, you call me.
Yeah.
There you go. Love that. Gosh, this is good. You got a lot of one-liners there. Okay, here. So let's take it way back, maybe not too far. But one thing I did say, I want to commend you on your website. I was looking at the blog. You've been blogging since 2016, my friend.
Very intermittently, but yes, we have. Yes, we have.
I got to make the point. I was also super impressed with your charity involvement, giving back to the community. You have like 8 to 10 companies that you're involved in. It's really cool. Very cool.
We even adapted in our handbook now a way so that people get 1 extra day off a year to go work a charity event. So like our office manager out here, she goes and works at a local farm and plants. There's something called the Billion Oysters Club or Billion Oyster Group in New York City, where they're putting oysters into New York Harbor, which help filter the water and make it a greener New York Harbor, which is amazing. So we're hoping to do something with them this spring. But yeah, there are some amazing charities that you can get. And look, let's be clear, we're giving our time and maybe making a small donation or buying a T-shirt, but at least being part of that process is a nice thing to be able to do and give back to. Just trying to do our part, if you will.
Absolutely. Yeah. It inspired me to want to get involved and do more. And if anything, talk about it and get that up on our marketing website.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's take it back. Let's hear your founder story. What inspired you to create Boyd Law Group?
Sure. So I think in listening to some of your other guests I would encourage anybody listening now to go back and make sure they listen to some of the other guests that you've had here. I was striving to find something unique, which is not easy. But what I can say is that I wanted to be in the field of labor and employment from a very, very early age. I was raised mostly by my mother, a single mother, and my grandparents. And my grandfather, he got out of the Navy, World War II, and walked across the dock and applied for a job at a place called International Business Machines, which later became IBM, if you know.
Right.
And in the way that generation had their work experience, he was there for over 50 years and retired just from there, right, to the Gold Watch and the Barker Lounger.
Right.
The way nobody does that anymore. Right?
Hard to believe that pensions used to exist, right?
That's right. That's right. But had great pride in the company. When he retired, he was one of the only personnel people that had raised to the level of director without a college education, and really believed in that company and his contributions to it and its contributions to him for all those years. And we really talked. I have his flag. I'm looking at it. It's in striking distance in my office here. But when we talked, we would sit and watch the Mets or the Jets, which was often painful. And talk about his job at IBM, and his comment was always this was a non-union work environment, but his comment was always that the way they stayed non-union was by giving as good or better benefits and as good or better wages than the union could offer, right? And so that was an important part of my thinking about life and thinking about people and thinking about work. When you really talk to people, they care about their faith, their families, and their jobs. Those are three really, really important things to them. So I knew that I wanted to be part of that dialogue if I could find a way to do it, whether that was in the practice of law or not. And beyond the dalliances that any any liberal arts major will have in thinking I was going to be a writer or a painter or something else, I sort of always came back to that idea of labor and employment. And ultimately went to work and study at St. John's. There was a great professor there who we've now lost. His name was Professor David Gregory. And he is just prolific. One of those people, when you open the faculty guide, you'll see somebody has 3 publications and somebody has 5 publications, and he had pages worth of publications. Just was writing a law review article or appearing in a labor-related issue. He even had concerts relating to labor-related songs at the school, if you will, songs from protests, and just deeply, deeply involved. I was his research assistant for all 3 years. Then went on to Big Law for a period of time, and this is where sort of the hallmarks of my life informed things a little bit. I was lucky enough to marry a beautiful, intelligent woman whose father was an entrepreneur and a successful one. So there was always that inspiration to open my own firm. Do you have the same thing going through your?
No, I'd say that's rare. That was a successful entrepreneur. I mean, yeah.
Oh yeah, well,
yeah. JD's wife is both beautiful and talented, correct?
Yes. Let me just set the record straight. Thank you, Matt. Hi, Mike. I love you. Yeah.
You walked into it, and then Matt highlighted it there for you, just to throw you under the bus a little bit. But so both I had some people in my life that had been successful with their own businesses, and a wife who had sort of the stomach for the volatility, or I think the risks that are really part of the concern of anybody opening any business, notwithstanding a person trying to be a practicing lawyer. But I can honestly say I wouldn't do anything else, and I feel like I'm doing what I was supposed to do, maybe, by having a chance to do this. So I just I feel really lucky. It's been a real blessing for me and a great practice. So that's sort of the story in a nutshell. If you will.
Love it, dude. That is such a good story. So clean and honest from the heart. Love the story about your father.
Yeah, Patrick's well spoken. How about that? That's pretty good, right?
Yeah. So Okay, so you open up your firm. Let's talk about kind of some, little details here, right? So maybe someone who's maybe at that stage where, and hopefully you don't mind to ask, how many years did you spend in big law prior to opening up?
So I had a political appointment when I first got out. I got to be in the general counsel's office with the Board of Education in New York City. So I did that for 2.5 years, and then big law for 2.5 years after that, and then my own firm after that. So about 5 years collectively in before my own shop. But the big law was I guess relatively limited tenure by comparison to what other people have.
Just enough to know that you don't want to do that anymore.
I have people there now. I was at a place called Jackson Lewis. It's the largest labor and employment law firm in the country, and there were people there that were infinitely smarter than I will ever be, and infinitely more inspiring than I will ever be. I really admire what they could do, but it was not where I belonged. It's probably the simplest way to put it. Some that I still send cases to, and they still send cases to me, if you will.
Got it.
Yeah.
Were you able to take any clients with you, or to kind of get started? Or how did that go? I don't know how that worked.
Not really. I mean, the firm there was huge, right? So I was dealing with ginormous banks as clients, and they even if they liked me, they would have to be just straight out dumb to follow me, because I couldn't have provided anywhere near that kind of support. I did, during the course of the work, make acquaintances in the field who were on the other side of discussions that I was having. So I had a little bit of a baseline, but for the most part, I had another friend who had also started his own personal injury shop, and the combination of that and the family support sort of gave me the idea that maybe I could make a go of it. And it's great now, but even then it was decent. The bar association had a chance where you could rent an office by the hour or whatever you wanted in the city. So you'd sort of just go in and meet with clients when you wanted. And there were enough attorneys doing it also, so that I made some good contacts, and found out somebody who could make business cards for me. My mom sketched a logo for me on a napkin while we were eating pizza one night, and I used that. And
Love that.
it all worked out okay. So
Sweet. I like the green. And I'm just checking out your team part of your site. And so you've got one associate, and you've got a host of staff here.
We have 2 law clerks, 1 associate, 2 of counsels, and then some support staff at this point. We've been as big as 12, and as small as 6 to 8 at this point, something like that.
Got it.
Yeah.
What? How far into your practice did you kind of bring on your first help? Whether it be a clerk or an admin or an associate.
Almost right away, and this is largely because there are things that I am quite good at, and there are things that I'm really, really bad at. And I think maybe I knew from the get-go some of those things that I was really bad at. I leaned on my secretary like you wouldn't believe when I was at Big Law and when I was with the Board of Ed. So I needed somebody to help me really quickly, and within 3 months, I had somebody working for me, or with me, if you will. Yeah.
And did you have them in the office, physical office, virtual? How did you have it set up?
I think when we first started, it was we would sort of meet in the Bar Association building, and then meet in the office when we could afford to pay for the office for a period of time, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
And then we sort of ascended to the point where we were taking a full-time office, and then that got bigger. And then it's sort of funny. Now we've sort of switched gears completely. COVID resulted in I had 1 year left on a 5-year lease in New York City when COVID hit. So I negotiated out of that lease. And we have about 2,000 square feet of a physical footprint. And everything else is we have a collective account with these virtual spots. So my associates get these temporary spaces where they can, for a certain amount of hours or a certain amount of days, they can go and work in an open space, or they can work from their apartment, if you will. And that's worked out. I mean, it's been logistically challenging, but overall, I think it's very satisfying. Nobody has to commute much, right? The the longest of us is 10 minutes or something like that. But I do think being able to get out of the home and into a workspace is important for some people. Certainly it is for me. So that's sort of the way we're going now, which is different.
Got it. Well, we only have one or two people on live, but for those that may watch afterward, looking back to your legal career, you've been in business in your own firm now for what, 12 years?
Yeah, longer. It's been a long time, for sure.
If you're trying to talk to someone who's maybe just getting started or is thinking about doing it, what are some lessons you can pass down? What are some big rocks you want to help?
I guess probably the most important thing that I would say is to trust your gut on whether it's something that you have the appetite for and the desire for. I think people who, what is it? Ford said, whether you think you can or you think you can't, you're right. Right. I think that was the turn of phrase. Right. I kind of think that way about establishing your own practice. Those people that have talked to me in their whole lives about wanting to do it, when they do it, they're great. Those people that have never really wanted to do it and they sort of go kicking and screaming, they don't tend to have the joy from it, even if they have success at it that I would want for them. So in those real quiet moments, if you're lucky enough to have those quiet moments, figure out whether you can do it or not. And then if you believe in your heart that you can, might be my.
Patrick, I think that's really good advice. I mean, being a solo, starting your own firm, it is not for everyone, and it is not for the faint of heart. I am not a litigator, so I don't do litigation, right? But if you're the kind of attorney who wants to show up 9 to 5 or 8 to 5 or whatever it is, and get a paycheck and fill orders essentially, right? I mean, there's a place for a really well-paid attorney who does that kind of work. But if you're entrepreneurial and you want to start your own practice and you have the social skills and the organization skills to do it, listen to Patrick.
I think that's well said. And I think what I love about what you said most, Matt, is that there are those opportunities to be a plug and play lawyer, and boy, they're needed, right? You really need those kinds of lawyers out there in the world who can go and work at firms. And if you're good at that, then trust your gut in that direction too. You can only dance to your own music for the most part in this kind of thing, for sure.
Awesome. Well, hey, want to do one section on kind of current day, right? Where you're at with your firm, your current business, if you will. Are you happy where you're at? Are you dissatisfied? Do you want to grow? Where are you at in terms of your current?
I love every minute of it.
Liar. It's good.
I mean, look, I think maybe a fair way for me to counteract the seemingly, euphoria, which is an out and out lie as to the practice. I would just say that there are real challenges to doing what we all do, right? I think right now a big challenge for us and probably for you also is that the commercial consumer experience for clients is such that they can think at 6:30 that they want to have a hamburger and they can have it delivered by 6:45. They want a pair of shoes, they can order it in 15 minutes, right? They can get so many things so quickly that it's very, very hard to provide the responsive service that people expect. And when it's something like their jobs and their livelihood, which is even more important than that pizza, I mean, depending upon the pizza or the shoes, it's all the more challenging to be able to be really, really responsive. And we have a website with logins and we have a live person that answers calls, but there's only so many hours in a day, and satisfying everybody that way as you try to grow or just nurture the clients you have is a challenge that I think everybody has to embrace the technology on, and then embrace the reality that it's probably going to be impossible to always make people happy in terms of how quickly you can. We built a whole practice based on trying to be really responsive, and I still worry about missing an email, missing a phone call, telling a client I can't talk until Wednesday when they want to talk on Monday. I think that's a real challenge, and I don't think it's going away. Just one side note on that. I would have sworn before COVID that not a person that I ever represented would be satisfied or happy representing me without meeting me in person. I thought that personal connection and that handshake was the driving force of being able to be successful. And I found that being responsive is so much more important than being in person, that people, I probably don't meet in person, I don't know, 25% of the clients these days. They just want it fast in terms of being, and I understand where they're coming from. I'm that kind of customer too now, but it's a big challenge to the marketplace, I think.
Yeah, I think you're onto something there with, clients wanting responsiveness, right, in their attorney. And that's the expectation. And when I started 12 years ago, I think that was a big differentiator for me, was that, I got back to clients ASAP. And, we still have that ethos today where we try to get back to clients. I say within 24 hours, but generally speaking, like if there's an email mailbox, it gets responded to before I turn off the laptop for the day, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm just really impressed with you. It's been really fun chatting with you today. I mean, you clearly know your stuff. You're humble, and I love how much gratitude you have for the profession and what you're doing. It's cool to see.
Yeah, I mean, the one other thing I'll say, and I'll just turn the technology around and pay you both a compliment. I do think that one of the great things that's happened is that if you have a grasp on a personality in marketing, you can compete in ways that you never could before now with things like this podcast, right?
I know nothing about that. That's just JD.
Well, here you are, right? So you're
part of it. We had a really good question.
I just show up most of the time.
Great question here. Live question, guys. Kendon Shirley, and this is not a dumb question. He says, probably a dumb
Only
question.
dumb answers, no dumb questions.
But do you see AI helping or displacing some of your services in the future? This is coming out of LinkedIn.
So it's a great question. I think with probably, I think I probably have two answers to it, but I'll use an example, which I think is cool. Not that long ago, we had a client come to us, and they had to let about 10 people go, which is always sad, and it was around the holidays. But these 10 people were in 7 different states, which created an extra challenge because there are different templates you have to start from, and then different nuances to the law in all these states, right? And by virtue of working over time to establish relationships with attorneys in other states, right? And having AI available as an initial template for finding those, because we only practice in a certain number of jurisdictions, but we'll also get tendered agreements from other jurisdictions, right? So we were able to quickly search for templates from other jurisdictions that we received over time, then reach out to attorneys in other places and other jurisdictions, and in 1 week's time, get all of those severances with all of the tertiary laws relevant to them done, and establish a nice little network of people we were working with as a result. No chance that 2 years ago or 3 years ago that would have been doable. So the combination of at least more networking across jurisdictions and AI resources made that work possible, and made us as a small firm able to serve that kind of business need that probably would not have been managed by any small firm in years past. So I guess in that case, I was mostly thinking about the upside of it, but there are obviously downsides to it also in terms of what.
So it definitely sounds like it's helping, and I think I can understand it. It's making it more efficient. And the overall work is going to be done quicker, which may end up meaning less fees for the client, and you've been able to handle a larger workload and just getting the answers to the client quicker.
Yeah.
Wait, one other question here, maybe just 1 more minute here. Can you please share the qualifications for a design or utility patent for a sports apparel brand? We are talking. I do have bold patents all over, but we're doing a lawyer show today. I'll answer this quickly. I'll share qualifications for a design. It's all about what it looks like, a design patent, right? Purely the aesthetics of that 3-dimensional object. And that's what you're protecting with the design patent. So for a sports brand, shoes all over the place. I mean, water bottles. I mean, you name it. If there's a novel 3-dimensional shape, which you've come up with, design patents is the way to go. Utility patents protects the other side, the functionality, what it actually does. So the fact that the shoe has like air shocks or has, you know, a unique bridge for the arch support. The functionality, that's what you're trying to protect. That's what utility patents are for. So, and then the last word is brand. That's all Matt up there. Branding is about trademarks and protecting, you know, the actual source of where those goods came from, making sure the customers won't be confused. So thanks for that question. All right, well, we're a little bit over, but I wanted to make sure to thank you, Patrick, for your time coming on and sharing your founder story with us and chatting about the law. And yeah, I agree with Matt. I second everything he said. It was such an honor to have you here and being a part of our program. One thing I always ask is if anybody's listening or want now or after the fact, want to reach out to you, maybe they'll use as a mentor. Would you be open to providing your email address?
Of course, yeah. So the best way to reach me is through the website, which is just www.theboydlawgroup.com. Some jerk has BLG, so we're stuck with the whole theboydlawgroup.com. But my personal email.
That is actually.
Yeah, we should talk. We'll get that for you.
If you can find it, I'm happy to lean on you for it.
All right.
But I'm pboyd@theboydlawgroup.com is my email address. And
all right.
Yeah, I don't know that I have anything particularly unique to share, but I can tell you that I have enthusiasm for having had the opportunity to do what I've done. So I'm certainly happy to field phone calls to that effect. And I just I just want to commend you on doing what you're doing with this. I think it's just a great. Boy, if I had a chance to look at this when I was going out, I would have been happy.
You might have thought twice about becoming an attorney. I always tell people who are like, "Hey, like, what do you think of being a lawyer?" I'm like, "I love it, but there's easier ways to make money than being an attorney."
Well, for sure. But yeah, no, I think this is a great tool for so many concepts that you can help with, and I'm just happy to be part of the conversation. So thanks.
Wonderful. All right. Well, for Matt, myself, and Bold Patents, I wish you guys a good rest of your day. And thanks for tuning into the Bold Lawyers Show. We'll catch you next week. Bye-bye.